students from Modern College. I welcome you all to our webinar on fashion sustainability. So in this age of mindless consumerism, clothing has emerged as one product which can be inexpensively produced in mass quantities. However, this type of fast fashion has detrimental impact and social impact, including the depletion of non-renewable energy sources, emission of greenhouse gases, and the use of a massive amount of water and energy. So sustainable fashion is a movement which is trying to address the whole system of fashion by pushing this entire sector to greater ecological integrity and social justice for all stakeholders. So I'm very, very pleased to have our guest speaker, Tanisha, bring more light to this topic. So before we move on to the rest of our program, I would like to take this opportunity to thank a few people. The first being our sponsor club, IWC Pune, without whom we would not be here today, we would not be a club today. I would also like to express my deep gratitude to IWC Pune Imperial and specifically Charter President Bhagyashree ma'am and Nivedita ma'am for the continued guidance and support, which has been so instrumental in this initial phase of our club. Thank you so much for all the help you provide us. Now I would like to introduce the chief guest for today's webinar, DC Anuradha ma'am. Ma'am completed her BSc from Maharani College, Jaipur, and has pursued various diploma courses in interior design and web design. In the professional arena, she has worked for Jaipur Doordarshan, where she professionally compared programs. She joined Innovale as the charter president of IWC Solapur Harmony in 2009. And in the first year itself, with Anuradha ma'am as the president, the club won 14 awards and certificates such as Best President and Best Club. Thank you, ma'am, for all your support and for joining us today. I request you to say a few words to our gathering.
Thank you, Pallavi. President Pallavi Shrikant, Secretary Divya Das, President. And I can see past President Shobha Shrikant. Oh, sorry, I missed District ISO Lata. And all the members of Innovale Club of Pune GenZ and members of Modern College, students of Modern College. Very good morning to all of you. I really want to congratulate Pallavi and her team to choose such a thoughtful topic for awareness. I must tell you that at such a young age, you girls have very deep insight. I'm impressed. I wish you all the very best for all the endeavors. Keep up the good work, girls. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I will request our Secretary Divya to introduce the speaker for today.
Good morning to one and all. So as Pallavi very well briefed us that today we're going to be talking about fashion sustainability. And today's webinar is called The Perils of Fashion. My association with Tanisha is not just professional, but also personal from a very, very long time, since 2004. And ever since she was a baby, I know that she used to go and hug trees and her love for the environment would always be there since 2004. And I'm so, so proud of her to achieve it as a career choice as well. A special thanks to her mom. I don't think she's here as yet, but Mrs. Priya Ghorpade, she's also a part of IWC Pune Imperial. So it is a very small world. To briefly introduce Tanisha, Tanisha is a final year student at the University of Waterloo in Canada, specializing in honors in environment and business. She founded her initiative Green and New in her second year of university as a community initiative, which steadily escalated into an organization that today is bridging an institutional void for building a circular fashion economy. Green and New is currently in the midst of arranging its third annual Sustainable Fashion Festival, which is happening today at Elephant & Co in Baner. So people who have the time, please go check it out. Parallelly, the organization is also competing in a grant competition facilitated by the principals of Quantum Valley Investment and the founders of Blackberry Canada. Tanisha will be speaking about the perils of fashion as it exists today. Yes, fashion is seemingly innocent, but is hiding some deeply disturbing secrets you will be stunned to hear about. She will talk about her personal journey, the joy of creating something from nothing, and the responsibility as well as the capacity we all have in making a real difference in our world, especially today. So I'd really like to give a hearty welcome to Tanisha.
Thank you so much, Divya. That was really good. Am I able to share my screen? Is that okay?
Go for it.
Oh, you would have to enable that for me.
Yeah.
I think that's enabled for everyone, I guess, Divya.
Yeah, I
Just
think.
there at the bottom, share screen.
It says disable participants screen sharing.
Wait, how do I do that? Just a second. Share. No, it is allowed.
दिव्या मल्टीपल पार्टिसिपेंट के ऊपर क्लिक करें.
Multiple participants.
When you go on the share screen वाला जाओगे, उसके ऊपर जाओगे, उसके साइड में एक छोटा सा एरो रहेगा, उसको क्लिक किया तो ऑप्शंस आएंगे, उसमें मल्टीपल वाला करो.
I think it's allowed because I don't see it. Because I remember.
No, it's still not letting me. I just tried again.
Why?
Okay, there we go.
Okay, perfect.
Let me know when you guys can see it.
Yep.
Okay, so should I get started then?
Yep, please go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So as Divya mentioned, my name is Tanisha and I am the founder of Green and You. I'll be speaking about the perils of fashion and I am here to terrify you guys. I'm sorry about that, but I'm here to terrify you guys. So I have a question for everyone. What do you think when you think of fashion? Any quick answers anyone wants to throw in?
Can we please ensure that we're mute?
Okay, that was entertaining. Okay, anyways, so I'll just go ahead with telling you guys what I think when I think of fashion. I think about dirty oil. Why do I think about dirt? That's not mud, by the way, that's dirty oil. Why do I think about oil when I think of fashion? So you might be stunned to hear about this, but today more than 60% of all the garments that are produced in the world come from synthetic fabric. What is synthetic fabric? Basically plastic. What is plastic? Basically oil. So your clothes are made up of oil more than any other resource, right? And that's why I think about oil when I think about fashion. And MIT calculated that the global impact of producing polyester alone was somewhere between 706 million metric tons of carbon dioxide, or about what 185 coal-fired power plants emit in a year. That's 185 coal-fired power plants. That much carbon dioxide coming from just one type of synthetic fiber, polyester. And there's tons of synthetic fibers. And it gets scarier. This is still nothing. I promised I was going to terrify you guys, so there's more news coming. It does get scarier. You must have heard of microplastics. Recently, they've become very, very famous with the great garbage patch that we have in the oceans. So microplastics are basically defined as any plastic which is less than 5 millimeters long, sometimes less than 1 millimeter. That's super, super tiny, almost so tiny that you can't even see it with your naked eyes. And there's two ways that microplastics come into being. One is that we intentionally produce microplastics. So this is like the beads that you see in your face wash, in your body scrub, all of that is microplastic. Or even things like glitter, sometimes you have it in makeup, right? So we intentionally produce microplastics. But then we also unintentionally produce microplastics. And that's when you have your plastic bottles or any big plastic that's entering the oceans or even in the landfills. So you have UV radiation, you have the waves and wind, all of that acting on plastic, causing the plastic to break down into millions of pieces, millions of tiny pieces. And that's when you have microplastics. But have you guys heard of microfibers? So just like microplastics, which is already a terrible, terrible thing, our clothes, which are also made up of plastic, they cause the release of microfibers. Microfibers are nothing but a microplastic, but in the form of fibers because our clothes are again made up of plastic. And more than 700,000 microfibers are released during an approximately 5 kg load of laundry. How many times do we wash our clothes? This is 700,000 microfibers released only from a 5 kg load of laundry. The amount of time each person washes their clothes in their lifetime, just so many microfibers. I mean, you can't even imagine the quantity that one person releases. And some microfibers, apart from coming from when you wash your clothes and then they're released into the water stream, some microfibers also come from the air. So believe it or not, they just get whisked off our clothes while we're wearing them and as we move through the world. Like that's how easily our clothes shed microfibers. And these microfibers are present everywhere. You find them at the highest point on our planet. You find them in the snow on Mount Everest. You find it in the deepest point on our planet, which is Mariana Trench. You find it down there. You find it in our food. It's in all our food. You find it in our drinking water, even alcohol. You find it everywhere. And the worst part, recently, it was also found in our bloodstream. It's almost as if we're slowly becoming plastic. And what are the implications of this on our health? We really have no idea. There is a very, very big lack of research in how microplastics actually affect our health. It could be, cancer has become so prevalent. One of the reasons for that is plastic. We don't know yet. It's honestly just a Pandora's box that hasn't been yet. Right. So, yeah, it's basically a Pandora's box that hasn't been opened yet, and we have no idea to us. And as daunting as that sounds, there are some things that we can do about this. Honestly, so it's very, very possible, right? We can buy organic clothing, organic cotton, hemp, linen, bamboo, and there are many, many more options. Basically, we can invest in sustainable fashion. We can vote for sustainable fashion and slowly eradicate synthetics out of our clothing, right? And that would also encourage more research into better quality organic fiber or organic fabric. The next thing we can do is take better care of our clothes. Don't wash them after every use. Follow the clothing care instructions that you find on labels, or even you can honestly just look it up online. But take care of your clothes. Don't let them get spoiled that quick, right? And the third thing, a little bit more of an expensive option, maybe not for the Gen Zers who are almost always broke, maybe for the older people, buy a microfiber filter for your washing machine. You can get this online. This thing basically just fits right into your washing machine and prevents any microfibers to get out. Another surprising thing is that, okay, you may think, okay, why do I have to put in a filter into my washing machine? Doesn't the waste or sewage treatment plant take care of it? No, it doesn't take care of it. The microfibers are so tiny that even these sewage treatment facilities, and also because it's such a new phenomena, it actually has been going on since really long, but it's only now that we've realized, okay, this is a huge problem, right? So, governments, they're all slow institutions. It's going to take a long time until they actually do something about it. But in the meantime, we have microfiber filters that you can attach to your washing machine. These are the little things that you can do on an individual level. Next, I will be speaking about Green and You, my baby, and more problems with fashion. So I started Green and You, as Divya already mentioned, in my second year of university. And, I'm studying environment and business. So every day I was, learning about the plight of our planet. I was learning about climate change, pollution, and all of these terrible, terrible things. And I started feeling guilty, honestly. I was like, I'm learning about this. I know what's happening, but I'm doing nothing about it. And that really, really did not sit well with me. So I decided that, you know what, instead of waiting for governments, instead of waiting for businesses to clean up their act, what if I can make something happen? And born was Green and You. I just took a plunge, honestly. And when I began in 2019, I had no idea what I was doing. I even told my parents that I'm just going to be doing, I kept calling it an experiment because I was like, no, I don't want to call it a company or anything like that. It's an experiment. It's like a study I'm doing and everything. But eventually, this social initiative has built up over the last 3 years, and we are slowly moving towards becoming an actual business someday. Hopefully, we're still a student organization, but it's coming soon. And so how did I get the idea and everything about Green and You? When I was in class one day, we had a fashion sustainability course, and I learned that clothing is 100% recyclable. But still, 73% of all clothing worldwide ends up being landfilled or incinerated. So it's treated like waste, even though it's 100% recyclable. And that was just so ridiculous to me. So with Green and You, so these are pictures from Green and You's 2019 sale. And through Green and New, I decided that, I want to divert this clothing waste and bring it back into the economy. I want people to let go of that stigma that they have for secondhand clothing, and really look at it as something that shopping secondhand is something that would bring you pride. You're doing your bit. You're preventing clothes from entering the waste stream. You're giving them a second chance, a second life, and you're extending their lifespan, right? So the whole idea was that you present the clothes in a very respectable manner in an environment which is actually fun to be a part of. So we had music, we had a recycling workshop, we had snacks, we had all of these clothes very nicely arranged and everything. And we had about 300 people come in for the sale. Although my mom included was like, no one's going to buy your old clothes. Well, I said, I'll just try anyways. Mama, it's an experiment. It's okay. It's okay. In my head, I was like, no, it's totally not. I hope that this experiment doesn't fail. But anyways, right, I went ahead and did it. And even my mom was shook. She was like, wow, people actually, it was almost sold out, right? So that was Green and New, the sustainable fashion sale in 2019. In 2020, the pandemic came about, so I had to pivot to an online sale. So we did that through Instagram. And yeah, so another thing. Now, when these sales happened, I realized, like, I was constantly collecting data through all of this, data from the customers, what they think about shopping secondhand, whether their perspective has been changing, whether, whether there's a paradigm shift happening, and all of these little things. But one of the most staggering statistic that I came across was this one, that out of all the collections that I got, 60% of them did not have resale value because they were either torn or they were stained. Only 40% was stuff that I could actually resell. So I started thinking, so this 60%, which is obviously the larger number, which is more crucial, does all of that then become waste? What do I do with this if I can't bring it back into the economy? But no, clothing is not waste. It is far from being waste. All the clothing today, which is being landfilled and incinerated annually, is worth $500 billion worth of materials. That is a lot of zeros. That is a lot of money. That is like gold. So I was like, that is like, it's literally like throwing a gold brick into the waste. Why are we doing that? That is, it was just so ridiculous to me. So I started research on a closed loop textile economy and creating an end market for clothing with no resale value, right? Because I started, and I want to emphasize on the no resale value, because if something has value, people do away with it. You have a lot of thrift stores actually cropping up now within Pune also that are now, recognizing their value and reselling clothes. But then you can wear or reuse something once, you can reuse it twice, maybe even thrice. But at some point, all clothes are eventually going to not have any resale value. You can't infinitely use the same piece of clothing. It is going to wear out, right? So I started thinking, okay, I want to do something with that 60%. And my solutions were these two from the research that I did. I want to strengthen textile to textile closed loop recycling. Today, only less than 1% of clothing is actually closed loop recycled. Textile, old clothes becoming new clothes, only less than 1%. And the second is regenerative agriculture. So I want to take clothes, the organic ones, and bring them back into the soil. Leave the land that we took resources from in a better condition than what it was when we took those resources out. That is regenerative agriculture. So I don't just want to make fertilizer out of these organic clothing, but I want to leave it in actually a better state than when resources were taken out of it in the first place. And with all of this research, all of these ideas, of course, this is just a surface level overview, but I have been doing this research for the past, it'll be almost 9 months now. And with all of that research, my team and I, it's just 3 people, 3 kids, we applied to the Quantum Valley Investments Problem Pitch Competition. So this competition is organized by my university. I'm still a student here. And so we started off with 60 ventures, 60. And there were multiple rounds that we had to go through. We had to make presentations, we had to talk to the investors who were putting in their money, the founders of Blackberry and their associates. And eventually, as we got through the different rounds, we have finally reached the finals. So that 60 has now become 6 teams. Our submission for the final pitch is actually tomorrow. and our question answer round with the investors is the final one is going to be on Tuesday. So like everything is happening right now. Like things are very, very exciting at this point in time. Also stressful, but exciting more than that. And yeah. So finally, some good news, by the way, because everything so far has been so terrifying. What if I told you that you can take action towards this problem that I've described today itself? And I want to emphasize on this line that the state of our planet is in your hands, in our hands. Because, and I think this message is especially to the Gen Zers on this call. It's our future that is at stake over here. If we don't do something about this, who will? And you can't wait for the government. They're too slow. You can't wait for businesses to realize, well, this is the right thing to do. I think we need to start our own businesses. We need to start our own initiatives. We need to start our own things, even at an individual level, no matter how small it is. We need to take matters into our own hands, because this is the biggest and the most defining challenge of our generation. And I'm not talking about fashion specifically, but I'm talking about sustainability and our environment and our planet. Tell you what, actually, the truth is that our planet will definitely survive. It's us who wouldn't survive. So if anything, if not for the planet, do it for yourself. Do it for your children and even for yourself, because these things are going to happen in our lifetime. It's not even about our children or anything anymore. It's literally in our lifetime. It's in the next 10 years and it gets worse going ahead. Anyways, sorry, I just get into like, but back to the good news that I was giving. The Green and You Sustainable Fashion Sale Season 3, our 3rd annual sale, is happening right now. This sale is happening at Elephant & Co. Baner. It started at 11 a.m. today, so right when this call started. At this sale, we have secondhand clothing for sale. We have a bunch of sustainable fashion brands working under our banner who will be coming to this sale, and they're selling the organic clothing that I told you was good for the environment. They're selling those. And there's just gonna be so much variety. It's gonna be such an exciting sale. There's gonna be music, and definitely if you guys plan to attend it, please wear your masks, very important. But yes, it's happening on the 20th and 21st of March this weekend from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. This is your opportunity to indulge in secondhand fashion if you please to do so. I just wanted to give a little sneak peek of some of the secondhand clothes that we have. So we have accessories, we have really cute tops, we have jeans, pants, shorts, everything, shirts for the guys. We have a lot of products. We have a booming Instagram account at the moment. And on this Instagram account, we've created a lot of content about the types of clothes that we'll be selling, and all the brands that we're collaborating with. We also have video sessions with each of these brands where they're doing like a little sneak peek of their own and portraying the products that they're going to bring to the sale. So for any more information on Green and You sale that's happening this weekend, follow us on Instagram. The handle is @greenandyou. Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you. Finito. Just, I think one last note that I would like to add is, I know there's a lot of biotech students on this call. So if you guys are interested in the regenerative agriculture part I spoke about, or any of the research part of it, feel free to message me. I think you can get my contact details from Divya, and I'd be very happy to speak with you because we are expanding our team. So if this is something that you think you'd be passionate about, feel free to get in touch with me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tanisha. We're now open to questions. So if anybody has any questions, please go ahead.
So I can start. I have a few questions. So thank you, Tanisha. That was, an amazing presentation. I was aware of some things like, the micro beads, that has been a topic that's become quite important right now, but I didn't know a lot about these microfibers and them being in our bloodstream. That was terrifying. I agree with your presentation. So just, I have a couple of questions. One is, I know you mentioned that really we can't wait for governments and privately owned businesses to, one, take the proper steps or to do, as you would say, do the right thing. But I just wanted to know if there are any countries or any companies that are trying to put some type of limitations or trying to impose certain guidelines. Like, for example, I know that in the UK, they did start banning micro beads, I think in cosmetics recently, I think maybe in 2018 or 2019, but if there's anything, if there's anything else happening like that. And the second thing I also wanted to ask was, you mentioned that kind of one of the main, I think 3 things that you had outlined was shop more organically, reuse, articles of garments that we also have. But could another thing also be moving away from kind of the cheaper, more affordable fashion consumer brands like Shein and going towards more locally owned or doing more, background or getting more information on kind of ecological integrity of brands that we are trying to buy? I think, is that also something that can help in this movement?
Absolutely. Okay, so that was a lot of unpacking to do. Okay. So I will address each of those points. The first thing that you spoke about was our countries mandating some of these things, right? So yes, like Pallavi mentioned, UK has done that for the micro beads. Now, the thing is, there's just so many aspects to this problem that the laws just don't justify the extent of the problem that we have. And another thing is that the oil industry is one of the most powerful and corrupt industry in the world, right? They have a lot of leverage, right? They have a lot of leverage over governments, a lot of lobbying power that they have over these governments. So it's really hard to bring about mandates that are going to by themselves solve all of these issues, because the world's a terrible place. And for sure, but in terms of textiles, there's definitely some hope that's coming in. For example, Sweden, just a few months ago, actually, the starting no, actually, this was about the end of 2020. Sweden introduced a new mandate where they said that any new garment that's going to be produced needs to have 30% of recycled fabric. This means that any brand in Sweden has to have recycled content of textiles in their newly manufactured items of clothing. This means that every single clothing brand in Sweden is going to have to take back clothes from their customers, recycle it, and then use that material in the production of new clothes. Now, again, in the Europe, countries are a little ahead in the game. And that's not to say that other countries, and especially developing countries, aren't picking up. You also have China that has some of these mandates coming in, but definitely it's a good thing. Again, like I said, governments are really slow. So I don't know, by the time all of these mandates come in and they actually compel brands to take 100% responsibility of all the clothes that they produce, it's going to take a while, right? So there is hope, but I don't think we should 100% be relying on that, because it's a very slow process. Some of the other things that you mentioned was, I think, the fast fashion aspect of this. And I didn't speak about that because I know fast fashion has recently become such a buzzword. There's a lot of talking about, don't buy fast fashion, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. And I can speak about a little bit on why it is bad. The reason it's bad is because it's very, very, very cheap. How do they produce clothes that are so extremely cheap? And we're talking dirt cheap. What are H&M's prices? Okay, H&M is still not as fast fashion as Pallavi mentioned, Shein. You get like nice t-shirts and crop tops for like 100 rupees, 150, 300 bucks. That's nothing. And the reason they're able to produce it that cheaply is because they're externalizing all of the costs. H&M or Shein, for example, they don't pay for any of the pollution that they cause. They don't take back any of the clothes. So all the clothing waste that's discarded, someone is paying for it today, but it's not these brands. Now, these brands do own these products. They bring them, they conceive these products. So essentially, it should be the responsibility of the brands. And how much can you expect? Like Pallavi also mentioned, should customers be doing their due diligence on any of these brands? Sure, but how much can a customer really find out? The most you can do is maybe visit their website. Again, a lot of greenwashing, so they're not going to tell you the entire truth and all of these things. I don't think that it should be the responsibility of the consumer to decide whether one brand is good, are they environmentally friendly, and I will buy from them, are they not. If something is bad for the environment and it's so polluting, then these brands shouldn't be producing those products in the first place. It's the responsibility of the brands to produce products that do not harm the environment. I mean, if a company today doesn't stand for any social or environmental cause, I don't even know what the heck they're standing for. You know what I mean? So yes, as of now, since the brands aren't doing a really good job, it is still our responsibility to be a little aware, to do our due diligence. But I think in the longer run, it's really the brands who really have to take the bigger chunk of the responsibility, so much that individuals can do, right? And these institutions are very powerful. So really it's them. It's them. I hope I answered
No,
everything
definitely,
there.
definitely. I know I had a lot of things you answered. You answered every point, so thank you.
Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, do we have any other questions?
Can I say something, couple of sentences, if there is no other question? Would like to share something?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Tanisha, first, this is so enlightening. Like, I am more than 50-year-old and not aware. So just feeling like you, like younger generation, so bright and thinking about sustainable fashion. Today only I was just reading. So basically we need to go for such projects which are, which has greater ecological integrity. That's what they're saying. And just didn't know that 700,000, I just made some points. Microfibers out of 5 kg of loads of clothes. Had no idea, dear. So now I know, what filters, you need to use. We're using it, but not very. But now scientifically, we have this data.
Yeah.
And it's alarming. And then it is good, like you've taken such initiative. And one, profound sentence, no matter what, planet will survive, but we will not. So we'll have to do it for ourselves. So kudos to your efforts. And I think we all are enlightened and we'll do our bit for this cause.
Thank you so much. That really means a lot, you appreciating my work. Really, thank you.
Anybody else? Any other question? Any insights, any questions? If anybody?
I guess I could pass another note if that's okay.
Go for it.
I'm really glad people have gotten value out of what I had to say, and if y'all do want to practice what has been learned, please join us for our sale, which is happening today and tomorrow. It would mean the world to me if you guys could show up and support us. All the money that we will be raising through this sale is actually going to be used towards this research, and this is the only sale that, out of which the money will be used towards the research. Our sale in 2019 and 2020, our money was actually diverted towards for animal welfare. We put some money towards women education. We put some money towards fashion, textile recycling, and all of these really, really brilliant initiatives within Pune itself. So the goal really through our events throughout is to build social capital. And by social capital, I mean the strength of all the people within Pune city, the strength of our community, imparting knowledge, empowering people to really do their own bit in whatever way they please. So hopefully if y'all come to the sale, we can have our volunteers who will also give you a lot more information. We have a booth that's going to be talking about all the research that I told you about in a lot of detail. So if that interests you, I would love to host y'all.
There's just one question in the chat, Tanisha, by Miss Pranita. Do Indian companies invest in Indian handlooms? Because silk or cotton clothes are 100% organic.
Yes, actually, recently there has been, especially when fast fashion became like such a buzzword, and everyone started realizing that okay, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. And consumers also through their own purchasing showed that they wanted more sustainable fashion. A lot of the homegrown brands have started manufacturing locally with our local technology, like with handlooms and all of the all of the resources that we have within India, because producing locally 100% is much more environmentally friendly than having like a globalized form of production which uses cheap labor and everything. And one of the brands called Kabir the Awakening, who is collaborating with us during Green and New Sustainable Fashion Sale that's happening. They have their stall set up at our sale, and these guys actually use handlooms to produce saris and all sorts of, they have a lot of different products. They have dresses, shirts and everything, and all the embroidery, the artwork that's done on it is from artisans that have so another issue had happened within the fashion industry, that people were losing their skills, especially the cultural skills that we have, and so this brand is really, you know, helping preserve those skills that we have had in India all throughout the years. So it's very interesting, and again, if you show up to the sale, you get to see it.
Okay, there's another question as well by Mr. Mayur Dangre. Is collaboration possible in an industry known or are considering environmental factors?
Is collaboration possible?
Possible in an industry known or are considering environmental factors?
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the there's no company, to be very honest, that can be 100% sustainable by itself. Collaboration is one of the really big things within sustainability as well, because there's only so many things that you can really specialize in, and each aspect of the business, if given to different sustainable specializations, there is a lot of scope in collaborations. Even for Green and You, we do have many of them helping us to become more sustainable. I hope that I'm not sure if I understand that question entirely correctly, but I hope I answered that.
There's another question by Srushti Joshi, who herself is a research student, if I'm not mistaken. What about fashion accessories like hats, bands, cloth-based accessories? How do you reduce their use or recycle them?
Interesting. So the best way, or the most sustainable fashion that you can indulge in, is all the accessories and clothes that you already own. So don't shop. That's the best way to reduce your impact. Don't buy new things. I actually, interesting point over there, I haven't shopped anything new in the past 2 years. I only buy old clothes. Actually, this shirt that I'm wearing right now I bought it from from Green and You, and yeah, I just stopped buying new clothes. And to be very honest, you just get so many really good clothes and at really good prices as well, because it's secondhand. The best way to reduce your impact is to not shop at all. And in terms of recycling accessories, that is a little bit tricky, because the more materials into any one product that are mixed in together, so for example, if you have fabric and metal together, the harder it is for the recycling industry to do it, or to repurpose that. But the industry it does have technology that has been, you know, brought about to make this happen, make the recycling happen. The only thing is, because the inflow of these items, of these products to the recyclers is so haphazard and scattered. Like today, people, if I ask you guys, you know, what do you do with your clothes that you don't use anymore, you know, very few people will have the same answer. some people may give it to their house help, some people may give it to some charity stores. There's no streamlined flows. Also, you know, when you think about giving it to your house help, you're thinking, oh, I'm doing a good thing, right? There's two aspects there. One, after the house help is done using that, what do they do with it? Two, are you in some way disrupting their culture? You know, they typically come from the villages, you know, they're used to wearing saris and traditional clothing, but we are, without realizing it, are westernizing them. We're disrupting their culture, right? So there's so many aspects at play over there as well. And there's just no, so my point about the recycling was that there's no streamlined inflow to the recyclers. And because there's no streamlined inflow to the recyclers aren't able to keep their processing on, say, for example, 24/7. Like they can't continuously process it. When they can't continuously process it, it becomes more expensive for them to even set up those recycling plants in the first place, because it just doesn't make any business sense. The business model is flawed because the inflow is so less. And that's why the recycling industry, especially for textiles, accessories, etc., is pretty much non-existent. Like there are few large-scale recyclers who have been able to solve their inflow problem, but to the most extent, it's not doing well, and it's not doing well because there's no streamlined collections. That's something that I'm working on as well. So if anyone wants to know more information about it, I can elaborate on that further.
Okay, so we do have a couple of more questions.
Okay.
Ricky is asking, from where or how do you collect clothes for your sale? Let me answer that for you. Let me also put my 2 cents. You can follow the Green and New page if you're on Instagram. They do dunzo. You can dunzo your clothes, or you can drop into Hillview Society and put in your clothes whenever you want. Or you could just message Green and New and they will let you know how and when you can collect or give your clothes.
That is correct.
That's right.
So we only source within, yes, absolutely. We only source within Pune city at the moment because we're super small. But eventually we'll start sourcing from more places, maybe expand to a few more cities. Again, this is very far-fetched, but I have some big dreams. So, and I'm not ashamed of sharing that. In fact, I like to share my big dreams with people because that keeps me accountable. People are like, oh, what happened? You were going to expand to different cities. Like, yeah, I'm doing that. So I like putting my plans out there. It keeps me on the go. So yeah, definitely. Right now we're only collecting within Pune city, but hopefully one day, maybe after I graduate, I'll also get more time to work on that. So yeah.
Okay, so Pranita has a follow-up question, I believe, that is there any solution to detect microplastic in our bloodstream and any method to remove it?
No, that's the thing. We don't even know what it's doing to us. There's actually very, very, very less research in that domain. If someone's interested in that, especially like biotechnology kids, you all should totally take that industry up because it's very promising. Like it's only now that people are getting aware about it. Research is slowly starting, but that could be an interesting domain to really jump into. It's a very good opportunity right now if you want to start doing that yourself.
And okay, so Ayushi has asked, she's the editor of our club, by the way. Pure cotton or khadi or organic clothes are very expensive. So how can people become vocal for local in this case?
You know, to be very honest, when people say, oh, sustainable fashion is expensive, that is the true cost of clothes. That is what clothes are actually supposed to be priced at, because that price covers for environmental pollution, it covers for responsible farming, it covers for proper manufacturing, it covers for not exploiting labor, right? So It's very interesting how we've become so complacent with the fact that clothing is available super cheap. Um, I think it's not that those clothes are very expensive. That is the real cost of clothing. It's that fast fashion is very falsely cheap. It's cheap at the expense of the environment. It's cheap at the expense of people. And I think the future of the fashion industry, in terms of obviously everyone can't afford expensive sustainable fashion, and I'm one of those people because I am super broke as a student. I have no money, and that is why I don't shop new clothes. I buy secondhand clothes, which are cheaper because they're secondhand. And that's how I think the future of the fashion industry is going to balance out, right? People who can afford good sustainable fashion will buy good sustainable fashion, and people who can't will just buy good secondhand fashion, and that's completely fine. And honestly, good secondhand fashion is, if I hadn't told you this shirt was old, I don't think anyone would have realized. So I don't think we should fault sustainable fashion for being expensive, rather fault fast fashion for being cheap. Yeah.
Okay, then I think I don't think we have any more questions. So we can conclude the session now. And I'd like to ask our Vice President, Trusha, to give her vote of thanks.
She's just joining back. I think she lost connection for a minute, so let's give it a second.
Tanisha, any 2 cents till then?
I am honestly so grateful and thankful for you guys having me over here. Thank you so much, Divya, for giving me this opportunity. I feel amazing right now. I'm honestly so happy right now. I don't even think I can sleep anymore, and it's 2:30 a.m.
Has she joined back, considering it's 2:30 a.m.? Oh, there she is. She's joined. Trusha, can you give your vote of thanks, please? Is she there?
Did she? I think she dropped off again. I can propose a vote of thanks. That's
Yeah,
not a problem.
yeah.
I think she's not able to join. Yeah. So yeah, thank you everyone who's made the time to join us today. I would really like to thank Tanisha. It's 12:30. It was 12:30 for me, but it was 1:30 for her. So much later. And I think everyone will join me in saying that this was an incredibly informative discussion. We learned a lot of things today, not just in terms of the environmental impact, but in terms of the great work that you are doing with Green and You, and how we would definitely love to support you. Maybe, people who are free will definitely, I'm sure they'll try to make it to Elephant and Co today, or I would definitely be interested in, the donation of the clothes and contributing to this whole reuse and recycle of clothes. So I also thank our DC Anuradha ma'am for joining us, our district ISO who also was here. She had to drop off, Lata ma'am. We are always grateful to our sponsor club, IWC Pune, also to our charter president of IWC Pune Imperial, Bhagyashree ma'am, for all the help. And thank you to all our club members who have supported us in helping us conduct this webinar, and of course all the students in Modern College who also joined. Thank you once again, and I hope that we will continue having these productive discussions. We will, love to work with Tanisha again, and thank you all, and hope to see you soon again.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice. And Tanisha, you explained it in very simple language and very beautifully. Thanks a lot. Yeah, we enjoyed it a lot, Pallavi. Divya, very nicely managed webinar. Thank you so much for enlightening us on this topic.
All thanks, Tanisha and Divya, for making this come true.
Yeah.
Two of you to stay awake at 12:30 and 1:30 respectively. My God.
I took a nap earlier. It was fine.
Oh, I did too.
I was worried that you may not wake up.
No, I could
No,
multitask.
no, you people are doing such a hard work, and beautifully you covered all the topics regarding this, what you are saying, na, ki, what is the need for this hour. So beautifully you covered. Yeah, definitely. We will do many more webinars regarding this, Tanisha.
Sounds good.
It was entirely unique. We're not aware of these things.
Yeah, yeah.
I
We are
was
not. Yes,
I
we are
was
not
like,
aware of
yeah,
all
it
these
wasn't.
things. Yeah. Definitely. In like when we were child, that time we heard by our ancestors, like my dadi and my mommy and everyone saying, "Ki nahi, you use cotton," but we don't know. Okay, what is the now the costly thing? Why we are using those cottons in daily wear? Now we understand that it is a definitely a good idea to use cotton or whatever you are saying, like Indian clothes are more better than the synthetic clothes.
Yeah.
उनको पहले से उनका implication मालूम था ना environment के ऊपर क्या होने वाला है.
Yes, yes, पहले से उनको मालूम था क्या होने वाला है, कैसे होने वाला है.
Yeah, Tanisha, so wonderful.